And welcome back to another edition of Penn State 365 podcast. I'm your host, Richie O'Leary, and join when we're talking wrestling, our wrestling analyst on Happy Valley Insider, Joey Klender. Joey, we've had some exciting news over the past, not even day, past 12 hours, I guess.
Right.
Carter Starocci didn't make it easy because instead of doing it during the day, did it late night, Wednesday night. But he announced his return. The four-time NCAA champ is back. In State College for another year. I guess just your overall thoughts, because I don't know if we really saw this one coming.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really think I did, but I know there were some rumors of him coming back, after the season ended. But obviously it's big. He's coming off his fourth national championship, and he's coming back, so he could be the first ever five-time national champion.
Crazy.
It's pretty surprising because, before last season, he was thinking about, going the MMA route or going the Olympic route, whatever it might be. We weren't even sure if he was going to return last year. I know to us, it was more posturing than anything, but he's back, and I think a lot of people are pretty happy about it. It's going to be interesting for the lineup.
Yeah, definitely an interesting lineup indeed. I'm just going to go through it weight by weight, I guess. Because this lineup is a giant question mark right now.
Yeah.
Just let's start with 125. We just assume Davis is going to stay there, I guess, because Lilladale comes in and he just won under 20s, I think it was, for USA.
Yeah. I think Davis will probably get the spot. I don't think they'll redshirt him just because I think they'd rather redshirt Lilladale than redshirt Davis and have another have a true freshman come in and go for it. Davis has the experience. He's proven he can win, and he's proven that he's super competitive at the weight. So obviously nationals, he didn't have the showing that he wanted, but he won Big Tens, and he came into nationals as the number one seed. So it's definitely going to be interesting, but I think Davis is probably going to have the spot. I don't see why he wouldn't. He's super solid, so I would expect him to have the job.
Gotcha. 133. Aaron Nagao returns. Do we just assume he's probably the starter again, or could you mix and match? Or
I would think so. I mean, if Kale called me and said, "What should I do?" I would say, get Bartlett down to 33 and have Bartlett wrestle 33. But, Bo was a finalist at 41. I don't know if necessarily, sucking another, 8 pounds down to 33 is the greatest idea, but
yeah,
who knows? I would imagine Nagao will probably get the job again. I mean, I know last year was a little underwhelming for him. I really hope that this offseason he comes up with another attack and he's a little more well-rounded on his feet. He obviously has the talent. He's been an All-American before. I just not really sure why last year didn't go according to plan, but hopefully the next year will be better. But yeah, him at 33.
Yeah, going to be interesting for sure. 141. Bo Bartlett announced he was returning already. I'm assuming they're gonna rock with him there again.
Yeah, I would imagine. See, this is where it kind of gets dicey because if you move him to 33 somehow, then you can squeeze Kasich and Van Ness in the lineup, which is where I think that has the possibility to be a little bit more secure than Nagao being in the lineup, just based on what we saw this past year. But I'm just, like I said, I mean, I don't know if it's really worth it to have Bo suck down 8 more pounds.
Yeah. Like you said, this is kind of where it gets interesting. At 149, Van Ness is coming back off injury. Tyler Kasich's right there, clearly. Where do you kind of see? Well, I guess what do you do with these weights? I'm not even going to just ask 149, but 149, 157, 165. Messenbrink, Haynes. You have a bunch of dudes for these three weights. Where do you kind of go with it?
Right. So it's really interesting because Van Ness had a medical red shirt, so he still has his regular red shirt that he could use. Kasich also has a red shirt, so either one of those guys can take a red shirt, take a year, and the other one takes 49, which is great. But then you have 57, and Haynes still has a red shirt. Messenbrink is listed at 57 and 65, not just 65. So you could redshirt either Van Ness or Kasich, redshirt Haynes, and you have either way at 49, you have a guy that took third, and then you have Mesenbrink, who was a finalist and lost one match last year, and he could come down to 57.
Mhm.
The thing is, you go from 65 to 57, you're sucking 8 pounds. Can Mesenbrink keep the pace that really kept him in a lot of matches this year at 57 that he did at 65? That's a big question.
Mhm.
I don't think that would be a problem for him because he's just a machine, and I don't think he really slows down ever. But,
Mhm.
there's so much that you can do from really 33 to 65 in this lineup because you have
Yeah.
Bartlett who can go one way, or he can go 41 and 33. He can actually go down in a
Mhm.
perfect world.
Yeah.
Then you can get Kasich, who's listed at 41, and then you can still have Van Ness. So you could have a returning finalist and then a third place and a third place from 33, 41, 49. And then you can push Mesenbrink down to 57. And, 65 that's where it kind of gets dicey is, there's a couple options at 65, but it's probably better to keep Mesenbrink at 65 and keep Haynes at 57 and then play with 33, 41, and 49 instead of playing with 5 weights. It's probably
Yeah.
just safer to play with 3.
Mhm.
So obviously I think it's Davis at 25. It's probably going to be Nagel 33, Bartlett 41. I would think Van Ness is probably going to be the starter next year at 49, depending on how his health is. The interesting thing is, we heard a lot of things. We never got confirmation of what his injury actually was, but
Mhm.
it was pretty much confirmed that it was a knee. I saw
Yeah.
him walking in rec hall all season long with relatively no problems.
Mhm.
So, maybe it's not a knee, maybe it's something else, maybe it's upper body or whatever. But
Yeah.
so you have him at 49, you redshirt Kasich, you bring Haynes back at 57,
Mhm.
and then you go the rest of the way.
Gotcha. Did we say 65? No, we didn't say 65. Haynes and Messenbrink, both right there. Barclaw's gone in the portal. I guess you got to go Haynes, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's got to go Levi. Like,
yeah, you could technically switch Haynes and Mesenbrink. I feel like I've heard some things about that too, 57 and 65 just switching.
okay.
Because, um, obviously I think Haynes he's cut that weight for 2 years and maybe he might look a little better at 65. I'm not really sure
Yeah.
what his personal preference is there, but I mean, that's always a possibility too. I just think that you run into maybe some risk with, I'm not saying that this is even ever going to be a problem, but I just worry about Mitch cutting that weight and maybe not having the stamina that he would have at 65. But
Yeah.
57, I would imagine Haynes is going to be back at 57 and Mesenbrink's going to be at 65.
Okay. That makes sense. They also have Sealy coming in too, who can
Right.
kind of mix and match there.
Yeah, because I mean, with Haynes having the red shirt, you could push Mesenbrink down to 57 and then have Sealy wrestle 65. And
Yeah.
he's going to be probably on campus over the summer, and he's going to be working out. And I mean, we've seen freshmen come in there, work out for a summer and a fall, and then they're ready for the winter, and they do really well. So, and Sealy's got that potential. I mean, he's super high recruit and everything, so it's a possibility.
Yeah. 174 pounds. The veteran and Borden, Facundo, the sophomore, and then Ryder coming in as a freshman. I assume they're not going to go freshman. I assume they're probably not going to go with the veteran guy, even though he's been there for a while. But Facundo, probably, if I had to guess.
Yeah. I think it's Facundo's weight. He looked really good when he was in the lineup 2 seasons ago, the first half of the year, and then he just he lost his mojo a little bit, didn't trust his attacks as much, and he kind of fell off the table a little bit, and he fell short of All-American status. But Facundo at 74 seems like the ideal option. He had a year off with the Olympic red shirt, and he did really well. He beat some really, really good guys throughout the the trials and all the tournaments he wrestled. So I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that he'll be at 74. I know a lot of people probably are wondering what Starocci's going to do, but he's not going to be at 74 next year.
I was going to say that just because, well, number one, all right, let's go to the next way and we'll get to Starocci.
Yeah.
But Next up, 184 pounds, either Kelly or Barr right now. There's the only two options, basically. I'm assuming it's probably going to be Barr.
Barr for sure, yeah. I know he filled in, I believe it was the Indiana match last year and looked great. I'm expecting big things from him over his career in terms of the collegiate level. He's super solid and another really, really sought after recruit that chose the Lions. So, I don't see anybody taking 84 from him. I think that's the best option moving forward. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but he'll be a freshman, I believe. I mean, he only wrestled the one match from what I remember. Yep,
still freshman.
So, that's the one.
197 pounds, and this is where it gets a little interesting. I think if you asked us a week ago or even 2 days ago, we're probably going to say it's either Cochran or Mirasola who's coming in, or maybe AJ goes down a weight.
Right.
But it sounds like it's going to be Carter Starocci. There's a Cochran, a Connor, a Carter. Like there's too many C's.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's probably going to be Carter Starocci. He did 174. Obviously last year as the NCAA champ, but just did, I think it was technically 190 pounds for the USA trials.
Yeah.
189 and a half, whatever, same thing, round up. Are we confident that he can win at 197 if he does this? Because it sounds like that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, Starocci's he's a big boy. I mean, he is a large human being, and when he wrestles 174, he just looks massive. I mean, he's shredded. He probably has to maintain quite a bit. And I don't know if he's necessarily interested in doing that anymore. And I mean, Brooks moved from I know it's a bigger gap, but Brooks moved from 84 to 97 and really didn't have too much of an issue because Brooks is just technically so good. I mean, we saw it at the trials when he beat Taylor. I mean, his defense is unbelievable. So, Starocci's kind of the same way. I think when he's healthy and he doesn't have a knee problem, I don't really think anybody's super close to him. I know he'll be moving up 2 weights, but I don't see much of a problem for him moving forward. I mean, I know there's rumors of, this is the year that AJ Ferrari's coming back for Iowa, but I mean, who the frick knows?
Rumors every week.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, I think he's going to be super healthy at 97. He's going to be big. He's going to be strong. He's going to be eating and lifting this off season. So, I mean, I think that's probably the best bet for him. I don't think it would really make sense for him to be at 84 because then you kind of put Barr in this weird situation where you're going to make him bump up and it's not really a great weight for him. And, Starocci has the experience. He knows what to expect. And I'm not saying Barr doesn't, but Starocci's got 4 seasons of wrestling under his belt. I mean, I'd rather put Starocci up at 97, have Barr be at a little bit more of a natural weight of 84 where he's wrestled well in the past. So
yeah, that makes sense. He did, if you want a confirmation on this, basically of him moving up, he did post on his Instagram story saying, y'all see me on salads, watch me on steaks. So he's bulking up clearly.
Starocci ass post right there.
Yeah, that is it could be worse, I guess. It could be Handsome Tuesdays.
Oh God. Don't get me started.
What was it, Corona Sunday or something? I forget what it was the other day.
He threw me for a whirl when it wasn't Tuesday and I saw Nikki Suriano putting up
quite the character. Anyway, last but not least, heavyweight. AJ Friccione is there. The other Mirasola brothers coming in. Kirk hasn't announced yet, but what are you kind of feeling? You think he comes back?
Yeah, I don't think that he won't come back. I think it would be. I just feel like the first couple years, it was kind of crappy for him because he had Gable Steveson and then he had Mason Paris and then he was the man of heavyweight. I don't know why he wouldn't just live that out one more year and it's not like he made an Olympic team. It's not like it's not like you have. I mean, he get ready for Worlds, but I mean, you might as well just do that while you're in college. I mean, people do that, but I just see him coming back. I see him being the heavyweight next year. I think that makes the most sense for him. I think it makes the most sense for the team. But with the Mirasola twins coming in is obviously is super big, but I would also imagine that they want to be in the lineup the same years, and they want to come in and redshirt the same year, and all that jazz. So I would imagine that Kirk's coming back. I wouldn't see why he wouldn't, but I guess we'll wait for confirmation for that. But yeah, I think it's him.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting because he's got to be like the front runner for the heavyweight again, right? Well, I guess Wyatt's going to be there too because Wyatt's going to, what do you call it? Or
he's
visiting
transferring
Oklahoma State.
Right. I think he's visiting 4 schools total. Oklahoma State was one of them. Yeah, I don't. I mean, what he wrestled Hendrickson at the All Star match? Did he wrestle him in nationals? It's slipping my mind.
The year before. I think he did. In the semis, quarters.
Okay,
I forget, one of the two, but he definitely wrestled him in 2022, 23.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's anybody at heavyweight that's really going to be too much of an issue for him. I just think he'll really be. But I mean, I don't know. Heavyweight's always been kind of weird because I feel like there's a guy that comes in, and this isn't like a 100% of the time thing, but I can remember like when Nick Wazowski was around and Tony Nelson from Minnesota, and they were like the overwhelming perennial favorites coming in their senior year, and then they get beat by the new guy. I'm pretty sure Nelson got beat. It was either Kyle Snyder or Gwiz. I can't remember. But, obviously I didn't have it with Kyle Snyder because Kyle Snyder's an animal. But, yeah, I mean, why not come back and just get your last year, win another title, win another team title? I mean, I think it's pretty much free money to bet on Penn State at this point to win the team title, especially if this lineup kind of comes out the way that it's projected. I think it's going to be very close again. So,
true.
Yeah, I hope he comes back.
So, I mean, like you said, it's kind of projected that they're going to more than likely win the team title again. I don't know how many weights they'll win this year because there's a lot of question marks, I guess. I mean, Kirk would be a favorite. I'm assuming Carter at 97 would be a favorite. After that, it's kind of a guessing game, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say Mitch is probably a favorite. You could say Haynes is probably a favorite. Kirk's a favorite.
Yeah.
Did I say Starocci? Starocci's probably a favorite.
Yeah.
Depending on, I mean, I know Bo's got Mendez, and there's some other killers at 41 that kind of, Bo's a kind of an interesting case because he's always been a little. He really struggles sometimes. I think he loses that trust in himself offensively, but yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. He still made the finals, and I mean, he did everything he could to win. He just got countered off that takedown. So
true. So moving on a little bit, we haven't talked in a while, but USA Olympic trials we could talk a little bit about. No returning gold medalist, if I'm reading this correct. I think that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
so that's incredible.
That's interesting. Aaron Brooks had quite the showing at 87. Yeah.
86. It's 86.
Wait, yeah, I fucked that up. Yeah, it's 86. I hate kilograms. I hate that they do this. It's miserable.
Yeah, the metric system.
It's just we just want to be different in the U.S., But yeah, no. I guess just own takeaways, I guess, from the trials overall, other than Brooks.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That one hurt. I'm a Magic mainstay, and I have been for so many years. I love David. He's the man. I was really hoping he'd get a second one. But Brooks came out, and I mean, I hate to say it, but it really just wasn't even close. I mean, he couldn't finish on Brooks at all. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I mean, I just felt like David kind of looked a little sluggish. Like he didn't look as quick as he normally did. And I'm not sure what the reason is for that. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's a dad now and he's really focused on his kids and being a father. And I think that's great. I mean, I don't think that's really a bad thing. He's accomplished everything you can in the sport. He's won state titles, national titles, world titles, and Olympic title. You can't be upset with it. I will say that my blood pressure is probably going to be thankful that he didn't make the Olympics because, I mean, every time he wrestles, I'm like panic. I'm like a second away from a panic attack because I just want him to win so bad. But I mean, I'm sure I'll be the same way with Brooks when Paris comes around. But Brooks looked incredible. He looked like he just knew everything that David had to offer in terms of tendencies, and I think that he probably did know a lot, considering that Brooks was like his main training partner for all those Yazdani matches. So I think Brooks kind of had his number a little bit, and I don't think there was really much David could do about it, which is a shame. But hats off to Aaron. He beat him 2-0, and I don't think either match was super competitive. I mean, it was just tough. I mean, he just couldn't finish on Brooks. Brooks is just, I mean, he looked awesome. So
yeah.
But I think there's a lot of, the U.S. has a really solid team this year. I know Spencer Lee still has to qualify the weight. I don't think he'll have a problem doing that. I know that he's supposed to wrestle like the world silver medalist from Iran to qualify the weight. And I know a lot of people might think, oh no, that's going to be tough. But I don't know. Spencer Lee he's Spencer Lee. So, it's hard to even imagine him having a close match. But, who else is on the team? I wasn't around when the trials happened. So
yeah, I was gonna say I just had it pulled up too. I gotta go pull it back up. Spencer Lee, Rutherford.
Yep, Zane. It's a good one.
Kyle Dake.
Yeah,
Kyle
I'm very interested to see how Dake does. Because obviously that tournament was a super quick turnaround. His dad died the week before.
Oh, jeez.
Which was crazy. I think Nolf's time is coming. I just don't think it's while Dake is around. I just think Dake's like the perfect matchup for Nolf. Nolf's very finessey and he's very tough for a lot of people, like 99% of people. But I just think Dake's so physical and he's so strong. I just think I just don't think Nolf is really going to have too much luck with him. I think Dake's going to kind of have to go away, and hopefully that'll happen after this Olympics. But who knows? Because Dake's still pretty young. And
speaking of that weight class, little fireworks in the beginning. I want to get your thoughts on that between Burroughs and Mitch.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know that Ben Askren said that he's had to kind of like put Mitch in his place at times because Mitch is just kind of. I mean, he gets under your skin, and I know it worked. It worked against Burroughs, too. But I'm going to say this. I don't think I'd ever boo Jordan Burroughs. I just wouldn't. I mean, the dude, like, when I was like a senior in high school and he was winning the Olympics and he was the man, like, I mean, everybody loved Jordan Burroughs.
Yeah.
I thought that douchebag, whatever, booing him, I was bold because now he's getting... It was definitely the pushing the head into the mat, and it was scrappy.
It was just more of an in the moment type thing. Like it's like,
for sure,
that's our guy, that's our Penn State guy.
Right?
Like, boom, like
right. And I might ruffle some feathers with this, but I'm going to say it because I've said it on Twitter, and But as Penn State fans, people are very spoiled, and I don't mean to sit here and say, I've been a fan longer than everybody else, but I was going to matches in 2005 when nobody went to matches. When Cale Sanderson wasn't there, he was still at Iowa State. Like I was going before a lot of people went. And I'm super happy that the team is super good, and I'm very happy that this program has built such a fan base. And, I mean, trust me, I've taken a bunch of people who have never watched wrestling in their life to matches, and they fall in love with it and recall. And it's understandable. But I think there are people – and I'm not saying that this is the dude that booed him. I'm not saying that this is anyone in particular, but I think there are people that when this whole thing is over and Cale's gone and this team isn't as successful, those people will not be driving to State College to sit in rec hall to watch wrestling. They're there because the team has been so good for, 14, 15 years now. I never in a million years thought that Americans or even, wrestling fans in general would be booing Jordan Burroughs off the mat. I know that him and Mitch got scrappy, but that's wrestling. I mean, I mean, I think Gilman, who, I mean, he used to get on everybody's nerves when he was at Iowa. I remember like him, Alan Waters from Missouri, like backpacking him, and he just went straight back with him. I mean,
Yeah.
stuff happens in wrestling matches. It's a physical sport, and adrenaline's high, and emotions run high, and all that stuff. I don't necessarily agree with the booing him. I just think that it's, him and Mitch settled it on the mat. Jordan won. I mean, Mitch put on a great performance, and he came up short. It is what it is. I don't think it's any reason to like boo Burroughs off the match, tell him his time's up, all this other crap. I mean, I don't know. It's wrestling. It is what it is. I don't necessarily agree with it. I just think that it's kind of crappy, but whatever. I mean, the thing is, I think every fan base has their people, but I mean, I hear Penn State fans bitch about Iowa fans all the time. And, I've had problems with Iowa fans. Like when I went to Nationals in 2014, the finals, like I had 4 drunk Iowa fans next to me asking me if it was my first tournament I've ever been to and all this other crap. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to see this fan base get so spoiled that they become so entitled, and I feel like it's getting to that point just based on what other fan bases say about Penn State fans. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of rambling, but I mean,
no, you're good.
It's a little upsetting to see we finally get the chance to host the Olympic team trials, and obviously people are entitled to boo and say what they want about people, but at the end of the day, those guys are out there on the mat and they're competing, and they train all year for it. Show them some respect.
Yeah,
that's my thought on it.
Totally get it. I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, and I should have brought this up before, but Starocci had an interesting tweet about BeaverStadium in November.
Ooh.
More than likely, I would assume they're going to wrestle there, if I had to guess.
So it's going to be like the gridiron thing that Iowa and Oklahoma State did a couple years ago.
Where is the exact wording? Now let's sell out BeaverStadium in November. Sell out the BeaverStadium in November. I mean, it's interesting. I think you'd probably have a hell of a crowd there. I mean, if Nebraska can get a sold out football stadium for volleyball, you would assume Penn State should be able to sell out their stadium for wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that if they do BeaverStadium, I can't see them putting a mat at midfield and like selling 110,000 seats. I would imagine they'll put it on like one end zone, and it'll be from the 40-yard line and then wrap around to the end zone. I mean, that's still a considerable amount of people. It's probably like 50, 60,000 people.
Yeah. It's just if you put it dead center, those top seats are going to be brutal.
Yeah. I mean, people pay maybe $7 to get in and watch it. And
yeah.
Who knows? I mean,
that's a tough one. You have to put it on one of the end zones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what they did Iowa, Oklahoma State when they did the grapple and the gridiron thing a few years ago. But
yeah,
I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world, because BJC usually sells out every year. And I mean, the only reason it didn't this past year is because there was crappy weather that weekend and it was on a freaking Monday.
That was stupid, but
which was dumb as hell, but whatever. But I mean, every year I've gone to BJC, it's been sold out. I think that if they did it, I think it'd be an awesome idea. I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
November, the only thing is
you're being ballsy there with the weather.
Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, you better put some freaking heaters on that field or something, because them boys are going to be cold.
Yeah, I don't know why do it in November, though. I guess because probably the whiteouts in October, if I had to guess.
I mean, when's their first match? Their first match is usually first weekend in November. So, I mean, I guess that's the earliest. You might get lucky because, I mean, I feel like weather's weird. I mean, I feel like it snows in May sometimes, and then it's hot into late October. So who knows? I mean, my only concern with that is like, okay, what if you book this thing for BeaverStadium on a Saturday and then it rains?
You're screwed. You can't. Yeah,
I mean, simple as that. Yeah, I mean, you really got to get lucky with weather. And State College isn't like the most even keeled place in terms of, I mean, one minute it's sunny and then the next minute it's snowing. I feel like so.
So I'm looking at it now. Iowa did it in 2015 against Oklahoma State. They got 42,000 fans.
Yeah, I don't think that would be an issue here. I think you're talking 60 plus. I mean, people are going to come from all over. They're going to bring their kids because it's hard to get tickets for Rec Hall, and I think it's also like a novelty thing because it's going to be so.
Are they ever going to do it again? Blah blah
Well, it's
blah.
like it's
First
so
ever.
it's so unique, and and then you have to think on top of it. Starocci's a big draw, and it's going to be his last year. So I mean, it's like I don't know why not.
So Rutgers did it too in 2016 against Princeton. They only had 16,000, but
That's still pretty good.
They both put them against the end zones. But they also doubled up with a football game, I'm reading. So they did like a noon wrestling match and then had the football game at night, which would be kind of cool because then you could just tailgate all day and just go to both.
I can't lie to you. That would be something if you did a wrestling match at like 1 and then you had a football game at 6 or 8 or whatever. And then it was like the whiteout game. Like, could you imagine the numbers that would do?
Oh, you can't. the whiteout would be insane.
Oh my God. Like if you did them back to back somehow, I know the whiteout's usually deeper in the year, but I mean, it's usually October, like November, October, November.
Yeah. Well, they can't do a night game in November, BeaverStadium, cold, blah, 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 all that nonsense.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
It's football.
I agree. I think it's stupid, but
yeah.
If you can host a Super Bowl in New York outside in February, you could host a game at BeaverStadium in November at night.
Yep. Some of those guys are going to get drafted by Green Bay and Chicago and have to play in that anyway.
Exactly.
So,
I think that's pretty much it. Any final thoughts before we sign off here?
No, I guess we got the Olympics, and then we got wrestling season will be here before we know it. So
yeah. So I'm sure we'll have some recruiting podcasts during the summer. We'll probably have something on the Olympics before it happens, maybe after as well, a recap. All right, but for me and Joey, that's another episode of the Penn State 365 podcast. Signing off.